a lot of people are asking about Buffalo Sabres center Dylan Cozens, and should the Blackhawks inquire about Dylan Cozens, and what would it take to get Dylan Cozens? I think we're all agreed that the answer is if Dylan Cozens is available, you are picking up the phone and making that call and trying to find out exactly what it's going to take.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a guy that is established as an NHL player, is young, is big, is skilled, and plays center. Something that this team and most NHL teams would love to have, and the Blackhawks would be instantly improved if they added Dylan Cozens. The question is, what would you have to subtract from the Blackhawks to get Dylan Cozens?
A lot.
Yeah. This is where the disconnect is coming
right.
in.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Philip Kurashev
Straight up.
and Connor Murphy or TJ Brody or Joey Anderson. You're not going to get a guy like Dylan Cozens, who is a 23-year-old, 6'3" center who's locked up for 6 more seasons, who has 130-goal season already under his belt. You're going to have to give up something to get a player like that. It would be a painful trade as far as, you're going to say goodbye to at least 1 or 2 of your top prospects. Is it one of your high-end defensemen? Is it one of your forwards and a first-round pick? But as we get, that's what the Blackhawks have to offer. Is that what the Buffalo Sabres want? That's the real question.
So a couple things here that we need to qualify before we start digging in too much too. Terry Pagula, who's the president of the Sabres, flew to Montreal to address the team today.
Don't they also own the Bills?
Yes.
Yeah, and basically told them, hey, we believe the answer to all of our problems are right here in this Sabres locker room.
Everything's fine.
So that happened today.
Which means everybody's fired and traded tomorrow.
This afternoon, yeah.
But leading up to that point, Dylan Cozens has been rumored as someone being shot by the Sabres, and he still may be. Now, if you listen to 32 Thoughts today, and I want to be very, very clear, this is Elliot Friedman playing trade in his head. This is not something he's hearing from sources.
Spitballing.
It's just him trying to connect some dots and see what might work. He was saying Dylan Cozens and Bowen Byram to Vancouver for Elias Pettersson. That's the size of the trade we're talking about here, and it doesn't sound to me like Buffalo has any interest in like making their team worse right now.
They can't. They are a team that their fan base is super frustrated. It's been how many years since they've last been in the playoffs? 13, 11? It's been a long time.
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
A while.
And they've rebuilt 2-3 times already. You thought you were done rebuilding when
2011.
you got so we're going on 14 years.
Jeez.
I
was still
I
in
believe
college.
it's the longest playoff drought in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're counting the bubble, because the Coyotes got into the bubble playoffs.
Yeah.
Tied with the Jets. New York Jets.
New York Jets.
The New York Jets,
For
yeah.
the longest playoff drought.
Well, yeah, but the Coyotes got in the regular playoffs. I mean, 2012.
In 2012,
Yeah,
that's true.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's been 2 franchises added to this league who have made the playoffs. One of them has won a Stanley Cup since the Buffalo Sabres last been to the playoffs. And this is a very passionate fan base. They got the fire and the passion in Buffalo, my friends.
Yeah.
And you thought you were done rebuilding when you got Jack Eichel. And then you traded Jack Eichel.
You
to
at least
rebuild
were
again.
like, that's the future.
Right.
Yeah,
And then you traded him to start over again. And now you've identified Dylan Cozens as one of your young core. You've got him locked up, and Power locked up,
and
and
Dahlin.
Dahlin is locked up. Tage Thompson is locked up.
Peterka's a nice player.
Tuck is there.
Ukko-Pekka
Like,
Luukkonen.
you have your core.
Ukko-Pekka
You
Luukkonen.
can't now go, well, we just identified this guy, and half a season into his big contract
He's the
extension,
future. Just kidding.
we're going to trade him for more picks and
Or in
prospects.
Right.
You just can't do it. So if they are going to trade him, which I think is stupid to begin with, because how many times can the Buffalo Sabres watch Ryan O'Reilly and Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart get traded and win Stanley Cups with other teams? Like, eventually you have to keep a core together and try and win with them.
Can you imagine what the Sabres would look like if they were
Yeah,
competently
they'd
run?
be good. They'd be a powerhouse.
With Reinhart and Eichel and
Yes.
jeez.
So if they are going to trade Dylan Cozens, I don't think the Blackhawks are a good trade partner because they want a guy that's going to help them turn this season around and try and get into the playoffs this season. They don't want 4 more lottery tickets to maybe be good again 5 years from now. I just don't see that happening.
And if they do decide they want a prospect in a trade, and it is the Blackhawks, it's not Philip Kurashev, it's Frank Nazar, it's Kevin Korchinski, it's Alex Vlasic. It's a player of that level.
Right. And they say we want Alex Vlasic, you say, okay, thanks for checking. We'll talk to you later. Good luck with all future endeavors.
Yeah.
But it's going to be someone that is going to be a painful giveaway. It's going to be someone you're like, oh, I really don't want to give that guy away, but I see it. So
it is the Sabres, though.
Yeah, they're not. No. So, as many problems that Dylan Cozens solves, if he's a Blackhawk, I just
could create an equal problem.
And I just don't see the Sabres looking to get young again. They're already one of the youngest teams in the league. You can't get much younger.
Why set things back 3 more years?
They're in the spot of a rebuild where all your young players are hitting their early 20s and should be you should be on the upside.
Right. Yeah. You shouldn't give away a guy to get a 23-year-old to get younger.
And EB makes a good point. He says the Hawks are also not a good trade partner because they have an excess of D-men, and D-men is not what Buffalo needs anyway.
No, they don't.
That's true, too.
The things you're going to trade would be probably defensemen because you're more comfortable with that. But just throwing it out there, whether it's Cozens or whoever, if the Hawks are going to try to acquire a 23-year-old big center,
it's going to be expensive.
I am not opposed to proven. I should throw that qualifier in there too. Proven. I'm not opposed to trading a Korchinski or a Nazar, or the only guys I'm not trading are Bedard, Vlasic, and Levshinov. Those are the 3 that are untouchable for me.
And the only reason Levshinov is untouchable for me right now is because it's way too soon to even be considering that.
Just got it.
Yeah, that
let him play a full season.
Is Levshinov untouchable 3 seasons from now? I don't know.
We don't know.
But right now, the only reason I'm not trading him is because it's way too soon to be. That's a guy you made a somewhat risky pick to take him second overall, and then you're going to trade him 4 months later. That's not a good look.
Yeah, you can't.
It's got to be somebody better than Dylan Cozens if I'm doing that.
Right. Yeah. You can't go against the grain.
Like Mikko Rantanen plus an 8-year extension. I'll include Levshinov in a trade for that, but not Dylan Cozens.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the mailbag. So just I think we crossed that. I think we've communicated our thoughts on Dylan Cozens very clearly.
Yes, hopefully you still have time to cancel your Dylan Cozens Blackhawks.
Make the call.
It's worth
checking
into, but
find out.
But I think very quickly you'll realize Blackhawks and Sabres
It doesn't seem like
not going to match up.
If the Sabres were tearing down again, then yes, the Hawks would be a favorite in that trade because they have so many young prospects and draft capital to move, but just the Sabres aren't in teardown mode. They're in tinkering mode.
They're in teardown mode.
Tinkering is right.
We all silly like the mayor.